like a movie trailer first. Communicate in a pyramid. You should start with like the simplest possible way. Explain what you do in one sentence, and then you can talk more about it. If you want to create a full story, you need to include the 5 W's. A lot of startups seem to struggle with like daring to, do outreach. Everybody wants to do SEO and like affiliate because you never have to touch the customer. Not that I'm just in love with conversion rates. Landing page is a fantastic exercise to figure out what are you building. You can get into the top 5% almost anything if you just give a damn and try hard. What is this? What's going to happen here?
And we are live. Hello, Elias. Thank you for joining my little show. How are you doing, man? How's the day going?
Doing good so far. It's still early, so still a lot that can go wrong. But for now, it's all good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Not so much happened for me. I'm just woke up and prepared for this podcast. Were you able to do something already in your morning? Are you an early guy or not at all?
So personally, I'm not an early guy, but my 2-year-old son is. So I like, and he makes the rules. So I am, for like the last 2 years, I'm an early riser. But before that, definitely not. I was definitely a night owl.
Got it. So we already know an interesting fact about you.
Yeah.
But let's probably start with your background. Just explain some context to our viewers. Probably like how did you get to the startups? How did you get here? And anything interesting that happened in between, basically.
Oh yeah, it's been quite the journey, I would say. So I think I got really into startups somewhere back at university. So like kind of early 20s.
Okay.
And so I was studying engineering. It was the era of the massively open online courses. And I think I came across something from Steve Blank. And it was like when this lean startup revolution, if you will, happened, or like when everybody started talking about that. So I thought it was really, really interesting to build your own things, put them out into the world. And so, I think maybe 2016, when you write your bachelor thesis in university, usually, at least here in Sweden, it's quite common that you kind of partner up with a bigger company or some university and kind of do some work for them and try to make it support your thesis. But what we did was to see why can't we just like create a startup instead, do something cool and go to Silicon Valley. And so we did. And so we took a trip over there, like went by the offices of Apple, Netflix, we went to Stanford, like all this good stuff. And it was so much fun and like learned so much from like meeting so many great people. And yeah, was really bit by the bug. And so then for my last 2 years at university, I went into a master's program that was all about like entrepreneurship and creating a startup during your studies, which I thought was really cool. And so I did that. And during those studies, I partnered up with a dear friend who I had known for, I've known him since 2012 or 13. We went to the same engineering class, and then we just like, let's build this startup together. And that was our startup called the Guinea Pig. And we I think during the course of the startup, I think we raised maybe somewhere around like $300,000 from, like, wouldn't necessarily call it VC in the true sense of the word, but rather the university had an investment arm that invests in research and companies that come out of the university. And so, we got them to back us in the beginning. They had an accelerator program. We went in there and then later got some more angels and stuff. And yeah, so for the last, since like 2018, my co-founder and I, Anton, we have been running this startup, went through multiple big pivots. We started out helping gyms to become more like online first. So we helped them to sell memberships and stuff online. But then we kind of had the realization that it's kind of tough to make this into a must-have, because especially for gyms to sell memberships, because When you sell a membership, you always end up in the gym anyways. So it's not a huge pain to just pay when you get there. So we kind of did a pivot there, and started doing more focused on fitness coaching. We started out doing a Facebook chat bots were kind of big, and it started to come out more and more tools for AI, conversational AI. So we did a Facebook chat bot that was supposed to help people very easily get help to get some tips on workouts, nutrition, and so on. But then Facebook kind of killed all chatbots kind of out of nowhere. And then we kind of did a pivot into B2B. So I think this is just classic startups that we all kind of start off B2C and kind of sexy startups that our parents understand and our friends. But then in the end, almost all of us pivot into B2B because that's where the
makes money. Yeah.
Almost all of us, to go B2C truly, you need unbelievable amounts of capital and time usually to make stuff work. And most of us don't have those Silicon Valley level deep pockets. And so, then we decided to go into B2B. So we kind of created an app for Slack and Microsoft Teams that was, in a way, in the simplest possible terms, you could see it as headspace for Slack and Microsoft Teams, so that employees could, within their current workspace, during the day, they could just get a reminder hey, here's a quick mindfulness session, or here's a quick stretch. So we recorded videos that we could send over Slack and Teams, and then they could even share them within Teams. So they have a wellness channel or a general channel and be hey, let's take a quick break, everyone. And they could just send one of our videos there, usually 1 to 3 minutes long. So that's what we've been focusing on for the last 3 years or so. So that's really the startup side of me. And then kind of recently, I've also myself started to do a little bit more side hustle. So I've always been super interested in everything that kind of came out of Y Combinator and stuff. So they just share amazing material all the time. And I just love it. And one of the things that they share is I think they call it design critique. I think they kind of changed the name over time, but they review websites. And are what do we feel when we visit this website? Do we even get the point? And so often, even these are some of the smartest people in the world within the world of startups. So when they see a website and they're I have no idea what this does. It's not that they aren't capable. It's never the case that you just need a smarter customer or something. It's just we have no idea what you're doing. And I thought that was so interesting. This can we communicate an idea in very simple terms? And it's very similar if you want to apply to YC. They tell you don't write, we're on a mission to solve the revolutionary tech. They're just don't. Simplest possible terms. What do you do? And I thought that was really interesting. So I've been doing hundreds at this point of landing page roasts, posting online on Twitter for the last few months. And it's been really fun through that, I kind of got into the building public community, met fantastic people like yourself. And yeah, so now I've also started to do a bit of a side hustling on roasting landing pages, giving feedback. I suppose roasting is the official term, even though I don't actually like it because it sounds so mean. And I kind of try to be very respectful when I roast, because it's somebody's hard work and stuff. Yeah. So, but rather how I truly don't there's no point in being overly nice either. It's more I don't get it, but if you put it this way, it's amazing. So why don't how can we make this amazing? And then also doing some landing page design and kind of helping out with sales and marketing as well to other founders now on the side. So with Guinea Pig, we worked so much on outbound sales, and I think it's something that's been very interesting as well to see that a lot of startups seem to struggle with daring to do outreach. Everybody wants to do SEO and affiliate because you never have to touch the customer. So that's kind of also an interesting thing. But for now, really interesting in landing pages, and I think that's something that we might have an opportunity to chat a lot about today.
Yeah, super cool story. A lot of interesting facts. I wonder, so you joined Twitter only recently, right? Or were you active for all the time, but not tweeting probably?
Yeah, I was a classic lurker. So I
Okay.
lurked. I think my account was created in 2011, and I think I was there years prior as well. Just didn't have that account, but been there for so long, but never posted anything at all. So I only started posting maybe 4 or 5 months ago or something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely been. I don't know how about you, Igor. Like, for me, it's been quite life changing. I think to kind of in a way dare to just put yourself out there and like connect with people. I think I've made more friends in the startup world in the last 5 months than the past 5 years. What's been your experience?
Oh, it's interesting that we got it here. Yeah, it's definitely my experience and something that I'm preaching. It's my like way of meeting new people, and that already works for me.
Mm.
So what it takes for me, it's like post daily.
Yeah.
Actually now a bit low on creativity, so I'm not posting a lot, but I'll return soon. But what I mean, like this system is already work. I know if I will be posting constantly, I will meet someone new. I will chat with them. I'll probably get them on the call like this. So yeah, it's my because before I don't even know. So it's probably all was like work connections, like work or friends connections, but it's not that scalable.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the internet is more scalable. Yeah.
It really is, and a lot of fun. Just like
Oh, definitely.
it feels like I was always jealous about like hearing these people that were there for the early internet, and they're like, oh, I met these great people on these forums, and then we met up in real life, and we created these amazing companies. We're friends for life, and I was like, that sounds awesome, but I never. The only online experience I had was with current friends, like IRL friends, which was of course great, but I didn't meet that many new people. But so this is really the first time for me, and it really does feel like that. And sometimes, you get a like or a comment from like somebody you look up to for years, and you realize
Oh,
they were always there. I could just have tweeted at them, and they
yes.
reply, and it's just like, you know,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
A turning point for me to understand this was last year. I have like one of my favorite authors is Derek Sivers. He's a book author, and I'm often tagging him in Twitter and referring to his articles or videos. So I was constantly like tagging him, and eventually he sent me an email and said like, "Hey Igor, I see you like mentioning me all the time. Like, tell me a bit about yourself." And I thought, wow, so it's not even me reaching out to him; it's he already like reaching out to me. So that's when I understand like how it works, and it really is like you can reach out like to anyone like you really want to. Yeah.
It's just it's really really cool.
Yeah, and what means you can like build cool stuff faster, you can learn faster, you can be more creative, more productive, a lot of wonderful things.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
probably stressed at times too.
As with anything, that's definitely something. It becomes another kind of like another thing another habit you want to create, kind of another shiny object
Yeah.
in a sense, like, oh, maybe I should do this. And when you interact with so many great people, you definitely do get a lot of ideas, and then you have to get disciplined about not trying all of them all the time and stuff. So I definitely see a lot of people that try to work in public, build in public, just connect with people that do get quite stressed out, myself included. So
Definitely.
it's
Yeah.
always kind of it's always tough. But I definitely think that the core of it is super super positive, and then just got to handle the negatives. So like not getting too stressed out if you see your Twitter engagement going down and stuff. If people post this analytics and stuff, and you're like, oh, it takes a lot of work to get those numbers up for sure.
Yeah, definitely try to avoid comparing yourself against like others, because every day you will see someone who is like better than you in some sense. It doesn't mean that and it start to become feeling like everyone is better than you, like eventually, like when you see a lot of people. So that's something that I see like happens with people around me, with myself included. So
And I
yeah.
mean, you get a newfound respect for creators that are like putting up YouTube videos, like stuff on Twitter or TikTokers, like anyone who is posting consistently because you just realize so quick, you might have a hit, you might have something that's a bit viral, and then you're like, my God, I could probably do this way more, and so on and so forth. And then like 80% of the stuff, or 90 or 95% of the stuff you post doesn't get the traction that you think it deserves. And then you're just like, it's really tough to then be like, oh yeah, let's just keep going, even though you put in a lot of work to it, and then maybe something takes off. You didn't put in a lot of work to it, and you're like, I don't know what's happening here. So it's people like PewDiePie or somebody who like, by the way, PewDiePie also went to the same university and same studies as me, but he was just a few years ahead, so I never met him. But yeah, people like that who just post every day for 10 years. It's a real hustle for sure.
And the original reason why I asked about Twitter, so you were running your startup, and it seems you learned a lot, like following from what I see in Twitter, and that we will show soon. So I wonder, how did you learn back then, like when you didn't have this like Twitter exposure? Like, did you have also like close network of smart friends, or like did you use internet a different way? What was?
100%. Yeah. So I mean, I definitely have been really. I've always been super thankful for my circle of friends, because especially coming out of school, where through the master's program, you just by definition had like maybe like I don't know, in total maybe 30 people that like created startups during that time, and just like the alumni network as well, of just like 30 people every year create
Nice.
startups. And then you just have that group of people that are trying stuff, and like most of us are failing or not like becoming like millionaires and billionaires or something, but we're all at least trying stuff and figuring out new ideas. How do we communicate them well, maybe raise some money, get customers, build product, all that stuff. So you just learn so much from having a very close-knit group of friends who try to do the same things. But there's of course also very strong biases that kind of occur. For instance, in the Swedish startup system, that is very, very different from like the US and so on. So for instance, in Sweden, it's super common to kind of go after kind of grants and like getting support by the government in different ways, or just different organizations even that might like give out different stipends or like different ways to kind of get money where you don't necessarily have to dilute your equity, which is kind of, it's a great idea in many ways. It sounds fantastic, but it can also be like very, you can also get really stuck in that, because if you can just write an application, maybe, you might think like, oh, I'll just take a week and write this application, because if we get it, it's $100,000 and that's amazing. And there's just so much stuff to apply to that you could spend months not building product or like talking to customers and still get money in, but and it just becomes kind of a hamster wheel. While I think that sometimes it can be better to kind of have your knife to the throat, in the sense of like, if you're not like getting metrics for your business, then like investors won't like it and customers won't like it, and so this is what you have to focus on. So, that's one of these things where I think it can be just so good to meet people online that might not have the exact same biases. But yeah, then otherwise, I think so, except for friends, definitely learned almost everything I know from online. And again, like the best resource on the internet by a mile is Y Combinator and their library of information, their startupschool.org. That is their open online course. But then there are, of course, also some great courses from like Udacity and stuff. But also, like, it's not necessarily just courses. It's almost like you find an article that is just amazing on landing page design. So it's not just courses, but like, yeah, there's just so much great people sharing their learnings online. So for almost all specifics, learn from online, but then more the nitty-gritty details and the things behind and how you actually go through it every day. That's really useful to have from friends, for sure.
Good. So you basically have your own like YC community, like YC community.
A Swedish version, if you will. I think it was Peter Thiel who said, there is no Stanford of North Dakota. So it's not like Sweden is just so much smaller than the US startup system. But there is a community at least, and we do our best, but don't oversell it either.
Nice. You also mentioned like this VC application, and I think that's something that you also demonstrate in your roasting feature about like writing in simple words, basically like good copywriting. And I wonder, how did you learn like writing? Was it also during your startup years, like for marketing, or how did it happen?
So one thing that's I've definitely experienced myself is that the best way to learn in so many ways is to teach and give feedback. And so, I've been working so hard myself for years. So for instance, we've written YC applications and not like gotten a call back and stuff. And you're like, I did my best. Maybe I did right. Our mission is to help the UN goal 10 for like helping with the life and prolonging of life for everyone and stuff. And they might be like, what is this guy talking about or something? But I don't know that because you don't get specific feedback. But so, I've been writing for a long time in my startup, but what was completely like life-changing for me when it came to like getting better at stuff like copywriting, it was joining a kind of a community, if you will. I'm trying to find the right word because they didn't want to call themselves an accelerator, I think. But it's called pioneer.app.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So unfortunately, they just like a few weeks ago shut down, I think.
Yeah.
But it was by Daniel Gross and some other fantastic people. And the idea when I was a part of it was that you join a tournament and you you post weekly updates, and then you review other people's updates, and other people review your updates. You get points, and then you can show who's doing best progress. And also similarly, I was also part of the online version of YC Startup School. So and in the beginning, they used to have these weekly calls with founders that I was part of as well. And nothing makes you realize more. Oh, sorry, were you going to say anything?
No, I mean, nice.
Yeah. And nothing makes you realize more how important it is to talk in simple terms, and like what sounds impressive from the first person perspective but doesn't at all from the third person perspective, than listening to others and reading other updates. Because as soon as they try to use big words and like sound impressive, you shut off immediately. Or like they're talking about the problem they want to solve in a pitch, and you're like, just tell me what you do first. So this is one thing that YC says, you should communicate in a pyramid. You should start with like the simplest possible way. Explain what you do in one sentence, and then you can talk more about it. But instead of saying, we had a big idea when like 10 years ago, we were working at, and you're just like, you're not listening because you're like, what is this? What's going to happen here? So you need to almost like do it like a movie trailer first and say, we're building an app where you can push a button and a taxi comes. And you're like, that's cool. Okay, tell me more. And then you can say, because I had this problem, da 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 da. Okay, cool. Tell me more. So you have to go like that. But so many people start on the flip side and go the long route, and you completely lose them. And you have to build websites the same way. You have to communicate in cold emailing the same way, marketing the same way. So that really was my gateway into getting better at this. It's just like trying to help others get better, and you realize, oh my God, I'm doing the exact same faults all the time. And then you try to like tell them how to get better, and then you just do it yourself quietly as well. That was my experience.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. So it's definitely my favorite also educational technique. It's even, I would say, like based on Feynman technique, if you know it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's absolutely what he preached. Like when you learn something, you need to write it, like the way how you're teaching it. So, and then also see gaps and rewrite again. So it's like editing process that also so much required like writing. Sorry. And also, as you talk about community, I think it's an ad slot for my community that I was running a year ago. So it was called Nano Fund in Twitter, and we did like very similar things. So we took 20 ish like startups in cohort, and There was a prize, $3,000 in the end, and also two of them they would win MVP from our company project in the end, like the best performers. And the rules were to post daily in the internet, basically in Twitter and LinkedIn. And also another rule was to meet with each other and share like a talk with each other. And I went really aggressively in the first day, like to jump on a call like with 10 people in one day, just to share pictures on Twitter. So they start repeating, like, so they understand that it's like okay to do this. And they also started to meet with each other. So it's really helped, like, first to build these communities so they actually like work together. Secondly, like really like to share the knowledge. But yeah, definitely posting daily is not for everyone. So this also was one of the learnings. But there is no way for us, like as a company, to invest in this MVP build if you as a founder cannot like even like keep up the schedule for 1 month. Like why would we invest like also to build in them? So it's kind of a fair deal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also what was important, I think it's also like for any startup growth. So we set a monthly goal, like, so the cohort was for a month, and every week on Friday, they reported on the goal, like how close they got to the goal. So it's also motivating for some, demotivating for like others, but it shows like the really movement. Without goals, you just like, I don't know, like moving all the time. So it's also one of the things. And I also saw it in YC school. So they have a similar thing, like a goal, and you should always set it in a measurable amount so you can quantify it. And if you don't have a product launch, the only goal is weeks until the launch.
Yeah, 100%. It's really good.
So,
simple terms. It's also something that they talk about. Don't try to invent new metrics. Like, don't just like, if you're trying to measure like how much do your users like your product, and then you try to come up with a super convoluted way, instead just like what's your daily active, weekly active users, and like if they are engaged with the product, that's kind of a really good catch all for if they like it for many cases. And of course, there are differences between if you're on Airbnb and travel once a year or something, and Facebook, and use it for hours every day. But in general, the general idea of using simple terms that you can communicate between companies in the same way. Don't try to overcomplicate things. It's almost the answer to everything. It's really crazy.
Definitely. It's like this meme: when you start with something basic, then you go to super overcomplication and ends with the same simple thing. I definitely see it. It really applies to like everything in our life, like to any activity. Like for me, it's most noticeable in music. So I used really to write like really like difficult music, like technical, but it's hard to like understand. Like it's really overcomplicated, as you say. And now I'm a fan of really simple music, but paying attention to like every single note, so you can like get maximum out of like the same note, like when you're playing it a few times. The same in designs, definitely. Like you don't want to see like 10 boxes, you want one with one clear action that solves all your problems. And everything else is just the path to the simplicity, I think.
An interesting thing about the midwit meme, as it is just fantastic, is that you could view it in different ways. You could view it as there's no point in learning stuff because the answer is usually simple in the end. Or you can see it like, for me, the experience is almost always like really amazing. As you say with music, you start out, maybe learn a few songs, and you're like, oh, I'm amazing. And then you start learning, and you're like, my God, I'm nothing. I can't do anything. Like, there's so much to learn. But then you can kind of come back on it. So it's a really nice, kind of journey to go through. And I feel like, it's really worth it to spend some time being a midwit and like try to do all these things, because you just learn so much. Even if you still end up with stuff like these are actually the most important things, but also picking them and stuff, because of course there are stuff that somebody who's not experienced might think is super important, then it's not. So like it's a good journey to take, even though you end up saying stuff that sounds super simple, but kind of what are the most important things, even if it does sound super simple.
Yeah, I found that the most profound truth and the most powerful things sound simple, but that fools people. They think that sounds simple, so they can misinterpret, ignore them or misinterpret them. But actually, they are very simple. Like I don't know, like doing every day, it's meaning doing every day. It's not like the day you want, you skip the day. It means like doing every day. So did you try that exactly thing? And and there are like a lot of like small things. And I found it when I was watching Lex Friedman podcasts like a few years ago, and he's a really interesting guy, I think so. And someone asked him, "How do you like learn so many things? How did you learn like guitar last year?" And Lex Friedman just answers, "It's very easy. You just spend first year every 30 minutes a day on guitar. The next year you can lower it or like increase it." And he says like with such a calm face, and I think it's based, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And
it's very hard to spend 30 minutes a day trying to learn guitar.
Extremely,
and like to not get pretty damn good. At least compared to the general population. That's also something that I try to think of when I'm like, it's very easy to get into a new area, whether it's like AI, data science, programming and stuff, and you're like, my God, I'm so far behind. People started doing this when they were 13, whatever it is, music. But then when you start to compare yourself to the general public, you realize that you can get into the top 5%, sometimes in months, like in definitely a year. You can get into the top 5% of almost anything if you just give a damn and try hard. So that's a really, really cool thing as well, I think.
Yeah, when you have this like instrument to learn something that you understand, okay, I can learn it if I put like every day this amount of time, because it's there is no reason for it to not work. Like it will definitely improve daily, and it will stick into your brain. Like there is a quote like that: we as a civilization progress as we learn things that we do automatically. Like the more things that we do automatically, the more we progress as civilization. What does it mean? Like I don't need even to think about food now. I can just order an app and that's solved. But imagine like if it was like a long time ago, I would like spend all my day on finding the food and trying not to die. And there are so much things like that, like in our phone, like it helps to solve more and more from like operations, like searching the web. It's like the most powerful things. But meaning like the more things we can do daily without even thinking about them, the more like we progressed as a whole, like, as humanity. Yeah. So let's probably start this philosophical talk and probably get a bit practical. Are you ready to show us something interesting?
I hope so. I mean, you'll be the judge. I thought that we could basically, talk talk about landing pages, and really, again, what I think is mostly important about landing pages is, again, not that I'm just in love with conversion rates, but it's more like a landing page is a fantastic exercise to figure out what are you building. And I think in the very same way as like applying to YC can be an amazing idea, even if you might not get in, even if you might not even want to apply in a sense, but rather like ask yourself these questions like, who is your customer? How fast are you growing? Most people don't even know that. And like, what's your runway? What's like, what do you know about this problem that other people are missing? Like all this stuff. And again, for me, that part is just so interesting to talk to founders about regarding their landing pages, because it's an opportunity. If we can figure out your headline, that's something you can use in your cold email, in your marketing, in this, in that. When you pitch an investor, in so many ways. Of course, you might change the wording if you're pitching a customer or an investor, but the general gist of it. And so I think that's really, really interesting to figure out. And so what I was thinking is that we could have a look at some landing pages, because I have actually, made a post on Twitter that like, hey, do you want some landing page feedback? Like just post your URL. And I am far behind. I think I have 130 to go through. And so like, where you can help me unclog the backlog here just a bit. And yeah, go through, I was thinking that I could try to, we can look at this together. I can ask you some questions, what you think and so on. And then we can try to pull the general lessons out of the specifics. So kind of when we end up on something, we can usually understand more what everybody should do. So hopefully it's useful to anyone listening as well.
Awesome.
If that's what you do.
Yes, definitely great. And that's also the fun that everyone needs a landing page, and whatever you build, like you eventually present it through something, like through some kind of presentation, and it's usually a landing page. So it's definitely should be useful for anyone watching, even though someone can like still not understand it. But landing page are extremely powerful way to build anything, like to start with.
100%, absolutely. So if you're ready for it, maybe I should share my screen and we'll jump into it.
Yeah, awesome.
And so we're starting close to home for you, Igor, with a clipwing. And so one thing that I love to do is to in the world of web design, there's a test called the 5-second test. And for me, I think it's kind of fair to assume that in 5 seconds, what you usually have time to do is to kind of read the headline, maybe kind of get just a glimpse of the visuals, something like that. And then you try to guess, given what you've seen, what is this product about? And then you kind of talk it through and think about it. And then you look it through and see, were you right or were you not? And so that's something where I think it could be really fun to go. So in the case of clipwing, I have actually seen it before, so this doesn't quite apply. So in this case, I think we'll start with the kind of a general like feedback or thought process that I go through. But maybe when we get to some other pages, it will be really fun to do this test. So we look at a headline.
Yeah, let's try
for a few seconds, and we'll see like what's our best guess, and then have a look. But so
it makes a lot of sense. I never did it, but it sounds fun.
Yeah, and yeah, you'll be surprised just how hard it is to communicate something in 5 seconds. But so when my basic process for looking at a landing page, the most important part of any landing page is of course what's called the hero section, and the hero section is simply what you see before you scroll on a page. And this is also called above the fold. And the fold is simply where your browser screen ends, so that you have to scroll to continue. Everything above is above the fold. That's called the hero section. And most of us are already and definitely should stick to kind of standards here. There's a law in web design also called Jacob's law, which states essentially that because users spend almost all of their time in other apps and on other websites, they prefer your website or app to work the same way. So in general, we don't want to be unbelievably innovative and try to come up with a new way, because even if it could be better, like objectively by some measure, you're still trying to communicate something to a human that if they're used to looking for information in a certain way, if that's harder for them, it's going to convert worse. So in almost all cases, stick to the basics. And so let's have a look at clipwing and see if you do follow the basics here.
Nice.
So first of all, we have the headline here, and I'll try to zoom in a bit so that it's a bit easier to see as well. So here we have, save days on producing better video content. So this is an interesting pitch for sure. So this is what's called kind of an outcome or benefits oriented headline. And it's used very commonly because, we kind of learn to say like, oh, it's not about your product. It's about the benefit that you want to give your customer. That's what they care about. And of course, I, in general, agree with this, but there is a reason where I actually personally prefer another type of pitch in the headline. And here's really why. If we were just to see this pitch, and this is our 5-second test, essentially, we see that, we can save days on producing better video content. And then we ask, what is this product? Is it an agency? Is it a SaaS? Is it I don't know, like it doesn't tell us anything about what this is. And so if you land on a website and it says, improve your margins, or like improve your profitability, improve your growth, and that's kind of like, it's so, since agencies can say it, since SaaS can say it, since everyone can say it, even though in a sense it is what we want, it is the outcome, it's also hard to get interesting there, because everyone says something like this, like a cool outcome. So number one, if you can be more specific in it, that's really good. So here it at least says, producing better video content. It doesn't say like save days and become more productive. Like, is that a habit app or something? So like this is already a good statement because it grounds it in producing better video content. That's really good. But I see many that are like, yeah, save hours every day. And you're like, cool, what is this? And not in a good way. Not like there's I think we're all also taught by kind of the clickbait school of the internet. But it just turns out that you just get so tired of it, so that in most cases you just want to say, what is this and who it's for? And so we'll see if we come across those later. But so in general, I understand the benefit outcome of this. I think this is a very good benefits-oriented statement. So what we then expect from the sub-headline is the smaller text. So in almost all cases, we want to have a headline, a sub-headline. And the sub-headline now, what I'm hoping, because I haven't read it yet, is that it will explain how will I get this? And like, what is the product? Because if you don't tell me if this is an agency or a product or something, or how you're going to save me this time, then I will be totally lost. So let's have a look here. Create dozens of clips from your raw videos, publish more content, and grow your video show. So I think it hits some of those points, but not all. So create dozens of clips from your raw videos. That's how it works. That's awesome. I understand. Like, for instance, this video, it sounds like we could use it for this call. We record a raw video and we'll get a bunch of clips. Publish more content and grow your video show. A little bit general, I think. So maybe, if you're like, record it, record your video once and get dozens of clips that you can share on YouTube, TikTok, and whatever. Even like that specificity, even though it is here in the, and that's why I think this visual is fantastic. Because the more specific we can get, we tend to be kind of a little bit scared of it, because maybe if you think like, oh, but if I say YouTube and TikTok, they will be like, well, does that mean YouTube Shorts or something? But like most of us just we're better at generalizing than understanding from a general statement the specifics. So an example that I love to take is Tim Ferriss, his book, The 4-Hour Work Week. What if he had called it Become More Productive? It's not at all as catchy or understanding, but like, if you can argue, if you want to, like, is this a 4-hour work week or a 5 or a 3? Like, who cares? But it's a specific statement about something that's general. So I would try to get even more specific here. And what I still don't understand is this a product or an agency, or what is this? I have no idea at this point, And then we get to the call to actions, the buttons. So here we have 2 of them. We have create my viral clip and hire a video team. So here we're starting to get that type of information. Hire a video team sounds very much like some sort of agency, freelancer, whatever it is. And create my viral clip sounds more like a product, but now I might be confused if I had never heard about Clipwing before. I'm not sure. Is this a one-time that I create my viral clip one time, but if I want to hire, that's recurring? Like, I have no idea. No credit card required. It's also very commonly a good idea to use what's called, completely lost the word, objection handling. And that is simply to say, like, when you see a call to action, you're like, create my viral clip, then you might think, will I have to create an account? Will I have to put in my credit card? Is there a free trial? Who knows? That's why it can be a really good idea to just in small text to be like, 7-day free trial, no credit card required, because that will improve your, like, the likelihood that people want to. But so, and also, of course, when it comes to call to actions, the buttons essentially, in general, it's a good idea to just have one, because as soon as you introduce 2, you're introducing like cognitive load, and you want to help me as a visitor to not have to think. So in this case, if I create a viral clip, does that mean that I am hiring someone or not? Can I hire someone can I start here and still hire someone? Which should I do first? Does this mean book a call, or do I get to a Stripe checkout? I have no idea. So anytime you do something like that, it's going to affect your conversion rates. So those are kind of the basics there. Then we also have one of the most important things that that is the number one most forgotten thing that's thankfully included here, and that is social proof. And so here we have social proof in two forms. We have that it's product hunt, product of the day, really cool, fantastic, congrats. And then we have kind of like from the user perspective, what I like to call the social proof snippet. So you can think of this as when you go on the iOS App Store or something, and you just browse through apps, or even when you browse through a product hunt, you can just see like how many upvotes or like rated 5.9 stars out of 20,000 reviews. And like that, those small things just help you in such an unbelievable way to understand like what is the best thing here. So if I can see here, out by 1,500 creators, if I go somewhere else and they don't have any social proof that state that quantity, like thumbs up. This weirdest thing from Apple to include, either way, if you can hit like beat other by quantity, or even showing like who this is for, this is a fantastic opportunity to say this is for creators specifically. And so this is amazing that you have included here. And so those are kind of the standards in the section itself. When it comes to the menu, I'm not sure if it's visible. Can you see the navigation menu? Is it just that I have my window a little bit strange here?
I see it. The navbar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if do you still see the
the logos, links.
Do you still see the links up here?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I think it might be just my screen, just to want to make sure that you and anyone viewing cannot see it. Okay, fantastic. I just changed how I see what people see. Nice. So here in general, when it comes to being when it comes to landing pages, again, the more different like paths that you introduce, the worse your conversion rate will be for your main goal. So in my opinion, we should usually try to avoid stuff like affiliates and blog. At this point, you don't want people to click anywhere else if possible. I think it can be fair to have stuff like pricing and so on. But like, do you want somebody to check out your free tools right now? Probably not. I would just focus on pushing people towards your main conversion goal, and maybe include stuff like this in the footer or like way down on your landing page. Because right now you're trying to get people to understand what is this product and drive them towards the conversion. And it's always also a good idea to have a little call to action up here. That never hurts. And this is even a sticky bar, as it turns out. So that's always a good thing, I think, if you do have a navigation menu. So those are kind of my, again, specific thoughts here, some learnings. To kind of summarize what the framework that I use to try to think about the copy at first. So, or I suppose what's also really good to mention just first, I got ahead of myself a little bit here, is of course the visual. That's really the last part that's important here. And I'd say in general, this is a very good visual. If there's one thing that I think can be a little bit confusing, it's that it starts with a YouTube video. I think it could be clearer if this is like somehow like, this is the raw recording. Like this is us recording it, rather than like you already have it on YouTube, but rather start with the raw recording and then like whoop, and then you get it here, and here. But in general, like a fantastic visual, because of course we process visuals, like I think I read somewhere, don't quote me on this, but I don't know, 60,000 times faster than we read, or something along the line. It's just unbelievable how much faster we can grasp ideas by visuals. So visuals are actually super important to just convey ideas. So you have two options. You can either have a visual kind of like in if you do it the standard way, either here to kind of to the right of the text or down below. And if possible, for most of us, I think it's generally a good idea to have it up and to the right, even though it's kind of fallen out of popularity recently. And it's simply because if we can get a glance and understand the idea faster, that's better. Like if our browser window is not as big, maybe we don't see the visual at all. So I would actually prioritize the visual a bit stronger here, I think, because I think this is a type of idea that can be communicated in a smaller visual. So in some cases, like if you just have a big demo video or something, or you need that real estate to communicate the idea, then I think it's fair to put it below. But there is a trade-off, and so if possible, put it up and to the right. If not, of course, put it below. But yeah, the framework that I try to think about is that when I see a hero, I want it to be a trailer for the movie that is the rest of the product, the landing page, and so on. And what we need to hit on the trailer is basically, there is a framework for journalists, I think, that is just like, if you want to create a full story, you need to include the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and then there's often a how, and sometimes, and then with whom and whatever. But the basics: who, what, when, where, why, how. And so if we just go through and look at them, I think that's interesting. So who is this for? You've said that it is for creators. That's fantastic. You have specified by some term who this is for. I think that this is such an important point that it can often be worth to have either in your main headline or subheadline, but it is still there. And so, and it can, like, the point is not that it has to be there by words. If somebody can just understand it, that's all we're like. If you ask the question, who is this for? Can they answer the question? If you do it by text or images, doesn't matter, but they have to be able to say that. Who is this for? Then we have what. What is this? And I think that's currently the biggest miss with Clipwing. I'm not 100% sure what this is. Is it an agency or a SaaS or both? When and where. So these ones are the ones that you least often include in actual text. This is the context of using the product. But for Clipwing, it actually works really well, because when and where do you use it? Well, where? Well, you absolutely use it on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts and stuff. And when? Well, after, if I were to explain the story of using the product, I record it, and then I use Clipwing, and then I post it there. So you can explain the story context of using the product with when and where. So that's why it's not necessary to say when you're at home, then you because I just get the point. That's all. Who, what, when, where, why? Why do I want to use this product? That is the benefit statement, which you have up here. The point of using Clipwing is to save days on producing better video content. It's there. Fantastic. And how does it work? It works by you creating dozens of clips from raw video. Well answered. I understand that, and especially with the visual as well. So I feel confident there. So that's kind of my the summary of my thoughts on how I approach especially heroes. So of course there are similar ways of looking at the full landing page structure and so on, and we can do that as well. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts here, Igor. Now I've been just talking at you. Would love to hear, what do you think about this? How have you thought about Clipwing? Is there any feedback that you feel is kind of hitting the point, missing the point, or what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, every single point, it was very interesting to hear it from your end, because that's what I was doing for Momentum, and Clipwing website is built on top of Momentum. I was researching dozens of great websites, mostly software websites like Linear and stuff like that. And I was researching not a copy that we discussed, but also the structure of them, what they include, what the size is of titles and subtitles, what the proportion of them, also buttons, the purpose of the buttons. And basically, Momentum tries to incorporate as much these good practices as it can. So, for example, this loved by creators, it's adding with one click of a button. So it's super simple to add. In the top, you can also at any type of company. So here is its product of the day, but also often we see like testimonials there, like some quotes or just stars there, like at the top. So also to show that it's not only used by people, but also appreciated by these users. And weirdly, these stars are working on people. And as you said, like the demo, it's the visual demo is the most important piece of it all, and that's what I'm trying to dig more and more into. So we will try like to make these visuals alive, like more and more. Like probably, it will be interactive piece, like programmed. Probably it's just a GIF that moving all the time and showing like something. But the demo like words like 1,000 words, as you said. Like it's really easier to see it rather than read like a bunch of copy. And as for your like message bus like title, yeah, we used to have actually a really straightforward, straight to the face like title. Cut your long video into dozens clips. So that's what it said. But before launch, like Lara, updated it to match also the service page, and we added this service button. And I understand that it's kind of confusing. Why it's confusing? So yeah, we definitely will try to think how to explain it more. That it's both an app and an agencies. So it's
so just to mention that the statement like create dozens of clips from a raw video or something, that is still just an outcome based pitch. So between those, I don't have a super strong feeling actually, because like I kind of get the idea of both. But my main question is really, what is the product, and like, is this a product or a service? So that's probably something that I would try to hit harder, and that can be a bit difficult if you go for both things. And I think something worth mentioning here is something that Michael Seibel from Y Combinator says, and that is more important. Like it's more important to be 100% clear and 50% accurate, rather than 100% accurate and 50% clear. So if you are offering agency type services on top of the product, totally fine by me, but don't include it here. Like, just cut that off here and like, build your landing page with one view and just like communicate it as a product or whatever. That would probably be my recommendation. And then like have an other landing page for the agency part, like have in the bottom, or like way closer to the bottom, like, hey, do you want help to use this? Like, yeah, hire our agency or like something. Because if you try to communicate all that you are, your whole business, that's almost impossible. So simplify, cut away, even though it's not accurate. Just say like, thousands of creators use Clipwing to create dozens of clips from raw video and post it on these pages. And you're like, yeah, I get it. And just like create my first clip. Yes, I'm in. And then like, if I keep learning and like, but I don't want to do this. And you kind of scroll and you look and you're like, oh, I can hire these people as well. Fantastic. But don't include those parts in the beginning, because that's just confusing. So admit that you can't communicate the whole company vision in the hero, and just like, it's not accurate to say that you're just a product. Say that you're just a product in the beginning, because otherwise, it's too confusing. That's my opinion.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And it's something that we just recently changed for this launch, because actually what we wanted them to check out, like hiring team. And in the very last moment, we like come up with this idea to put it in the header. And I think it's worth like the efforts back then, but I get what you mean now. Yeah, it is confusing.
Yeah.
I guess so. Let's probably switch to someone else.
Yeah. No, let's keep roasting this. Yeah. So I suppose like I think given the time that we have, maybe we can stick to hero sections and more just rather looking at the rest of the landing page.
And it's also sorry to interrupt, but it's also one of my learnings. Like really, like hero like section like makes like most of the page. So if you don't have the right hero, you don't have a page. So it's better to have only hero than like the long page that says nothing. So I definitely agree that we can stick to that.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And so how about we make an attempt at the 5-second test. So I will switch my tab here. And we have about 5 seconds, so try to look as intently as you can at the hero. I'll switch back to clipwing, and then we can see what we believe about the business, and then we can see what it
Okay.
actually
Yes.
All right, so I'll just try to time this. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think that's it. Something along those lines. What do you think this is? Can you pitch back? What did you see?
Yeah, so the only piece that I get, so it's data scraping with AI. That's the only thing that I got. But yeah, purposely, as I know that I only have 5 seconds, so I write hero title and this title. So yeah, it saves days, but I don't know like what exactly.
Yeah, it's really funny, isn't it? That even like if you have 5 seconds, even if you then intently try, it's still unbelievably hard. Now imagine that you have somebody's half attention for 3 seconds. That's like, it's so hard to get the point across. And so I was like, I also saw something like AI scraper. And so if I were to guess, that was kind of all I saw. There was a YouTube video, but then like since it wasn't like I didn't have time to check it. I don't think it was a super clear like visual of like the product or anything. Like it wasn't anything like that. I think it was maybe just the logo and as the thumbnail. And so if I were to guess what this product is, it'll be maybe a Chrome extension that you install, and it helps you to set up what you want to scrape, and it uses AI to help you do that. Something along those lines. What do you think?
Yeah, so I didn't get the part with the extension, so I would expect some SaaS basically app. So I enter probably like adding links and parameters, what to scrape and something like that.
Yeah, super cool. So I truly have no idea. So let's look closer. Okay, so it's called AI Scraper, and yeah, I think this is the thumbnail as well. Here the if we kind of go through it the same way we did with Clipwing, we have the headline, effortless web data extraction with AI Scraper. So a few notes here. If you can a tip by Paul Graham is to write the way you talk. So I try to write everything I can in the sense of somebody asking me in real life a question and I answer them, and then I write that way. If somebody were to ask, hey, what does AI Scraper do, or why should I use that? Would you then say, it helps you with effortless web data extraction? I don't think you would use these like effortless extraction. It'll probably be like, a Chrome extension that helps you scrape websites. That's super clear. Like that's awesome. Like I'm sold. If I'm the type of person that I'm looking for that, I just want to see, is this what I'm looking for? Like what is this? And like, oh, it's a Chrome extension that helps you scrape data better with AI. Dope. I'm in. That's awesome. People try to go too hard with big language. I'm just like, web data. It scrapes websites. You could just say that. So that's kind of my first feeling here. And then you want to use as few words as possible to get the point across, because every extra word requires extra time, and you don't have time. So to give your own like logo and name more real estate in any way, it's not really necessary unless it's really to understand what's happening. So you already have the name here. You don't have to take up a third of your main headline with you're going to use this tool like that. That's already implicit by being here. So then we have the subheadline: meet your new data scraping friend. Perfect for retrieving structured data, simple, smart, and ready to go. So if I were to ask you, Igor, thanks to this information, how much more did you learn about the product that you didn't already know thanks to this headline? What specific information do you know thanks to this? Is there anything you can think of?
Yeah, so it's a bit difficult to understand still. So I guess structured data, it's something that I need to know like as a term, like that means something specific. But I don't think that there is actually a term like for that. The very good terms.
Exactly. So there is new data scraping friend. We already know that it is web again, if we were to know what this means, we can kind of assume that we get that it's for web scraping, and then like to use this like friendly language and stuff. I understand that people want to kind of like be a friendly brand and so on. But here, the most friendly thing you can do is just to tell us what it is, and not try to be too cute or to use too much of a slogan or anything like that. Like simple, smart, and ready to go. Is there any product, the kind of new startup product that you wouldn't assume be simple, smart, and ready to go? And it doesn't add any specifics. So you really want to help us understand what is this product, how many people are using, like the basics, and you have so little room that you want to focus on those things. That's all you have time for. Again, if we go through the question, who is this for? Is this an enterprise tool? Is it for startups? Is it for developers? Is it for lawyers? I have no idea. It's a very, very horizontal pitch where it's like it seems to be able to be used by anyone. And some tools are, of course, horizontal, but especially for startups, it's almost always better to start very narrow. So if you were to say, AI scraper, hundreds of founders use AI scraper to find investors, customers, and future employees. Whatever, that tells a story, who it's for, how they're using it, something along those lines would be way more powerful. What is this? It's a data scraping tool, but is it something? Is it a Chrome extension, or is it something that you install on your Mac, or is it only for Windows? No idea. So if you can tell us it's a Chrome extension, that's fantastic. Who, what, when, where? When and where I want to use it, I think that's kind of fine because it's on the web, and when again, that's where it would be helpful if you were like, oh, this helps you to find investors, because then the answer to when is like, when you want to find investors to kind of reach out to them and stuff. So I don't know exactly when you would use this. Is it for again, the context? What is the use case? That's kind of the answer to when in this case, and I don't know it. Why do you want to use it? It's supposed to be effortless, and you want to retrieve structured data. But yeah, it's just such a general statement. It's almost similar to, when you want to be more, perfect for being more productive. And you're like, yeah, sure. I sometimes want to retrieve structured data, but can you be a bit more specific? I think that's really the main thing here.
To help, I would also recommend this to how does it go, like 3Y, basically like to taking the words from this speech and trying to get them as specific as they can, like data scraping, like what exactly do you mean, like what is scraping is, what is data is, what is structured data is, what is it for, and basically I think the piece of information here is data scraping and structured data. And if you want simple start ready to go, to expand like how exactly I start working with the tool, like what will be the first step, like to get my first structured data, something like that.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And so if we continue looking here, we have a call to action, try for free, and a objection handling of no credit card required. So the basics are there, but we can do better, I'm quite sure. So no credit card required. I think it can be a good idea to also say, like, is this a free tool forever, or does it have like a 7-day free trial? If it has that, make that clear, stuff like that. And rather than saying try for free, it's not like this is, I think, is one of the cores of how I think about copywriting. I don't see myself as a copywriter in the sense of I try to come up with the most powerful words where it's like supercharge or skyrocket your sales. I don't care. What I care about is, who is this product for? and can we communicate what they will get? So rather than saying try for free or start now, that a copywriter might see themselves as, oh, there was this study or something, and this doesn't sound as hard, and that, well, cool, that's all good. I don't mind. But if you were to instead say, find your first investor, or scrape the YC company directory, or something, like, be specific. As Clipwing, create my viral clip. It doesn't say try for free. And this helps me understand what is the purpose here and what do I want to do. So I think this is so much more powerful when you can be specific in your call to action. So that's really, again, when you aren't communicating in specific terms, then that's when you say buy now, try for free, But if you dare to be specific, I'm absolutely sure that people will resonate with it more. And then we, of course, have the visual, and I think this is a good lesson here as well. That Igor, you also mentioned that we might want to have visuals that are kind of like GIFs and so on and so forth. And what I can say there is, like, again, we want to make sure that we communicate an idea quickly, but we also have the copy. So when it comes to videos, a video like this, unless it's played, you obviously don't get more out of it than the text here. And if you want to get more out of it, you have to spend 20 seconds looking at it, and multiple click to probably see it enough to be readable. And it's just not going to happen for the overwhelming majority. So it's not a bad idea to include videos on websites, but put them further down for somebody who's interested enough to watch it. But here we want to have something that's glanceable, and then go back to the copy to really understand more. So I think a GIF and stuff can be fantastic, but one has to be very careful, because I've also seen some people that do kind of like auto-playing videos or just visuals, GIFs essentially, that kind of overpower the copy. There's so much happening, and you have to watch it on a loop for 20 seconds, even though it autoplays, cool, but it just takes over. So if you have a GIF, I think it could work, but be very careful. And I would probably say in almost all cases, simplest wins. So if you can communicate it statically, do it statically. If you can't, add a GIF. If you can't, okay, you just go up that ladder. But so everything we do, we have to be very careful with, because if you have GIF, most people don't. Okay, Jacob's law, maybe we should do what other people do, because that's what people expect. And then also, does it take time to watch everything? Like, does it take ability to kind of, if you were to do a eyesight test and see what are people looking at, eye tracking, I suppose, like what are people looking at, it might take up too much focus. And so finally, do we have any social proof? No. And so this is really where the problem is, that without social proof, as we see here, the feeling that we get, especially if we looked at a lot of websites, is that we question, is this even live? Is it still alive? Like, is this an abandoned product? Is this like, what is this? And so unless we have those signals, it's like if you go in the iOS App Store and you see 0 reviews, like no stars, 0 reviews, you're like, ooh, I have no idea. Like, what is it? Like, does this even work anymore? And so it is really, really important to include, and it's so easy to forget. And again, it's a fantastic opportunity as well to tell us who the product is for. So those are kind of my main thoughts there. What are your thoughts, Igor? What kind of jumps out to you?
Let's see what. Yeah, I think we mentioned everything that's required. So I mean, the components are there, the social proof, so the stars, the testimonial, the faces, something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then of course, stuff like the navigation, it's not like a deal breaker or anything, but probably not necessary to have a home button and a blog button here. And again, you can be more specific and get started. But yeah, and again, like I'm sure that it's an awesome product for someone that you could communicate it well. But yeah, we just gotta put an effort into finding out. So that's really why the copy and the visuals and the communication here matters so much. So let's see here. Which should we take? Oh, we have a friend of the show, I think, Charlie. Here's another website. I'm going to cut it off in 5 seconds, so have a quick look. Okay, something like that. What are your thoughts? What's this product about?
Yeah, I know what Charlie is building. I saw pieces of them. I mean, not in detail, but anyway, like what I understand. So it's a system where I put my URL of my website, and it gives me an automatic suggestion on what I can improve there to improve accessibility.
Super cool. Yeah, and I just realized as well. Of course, I also know what Charlie is building, but I wasn't sure that you've seen this. But I think if I were to just look at this like with completely like haven't seen it before, I would say that this is the same type of benefits oriented statement that has pros and cons. So for a 5-second test, this is of course also not specific in what the product is. It just says what the outcome will be. So that's always something worth thinking about, I think. But if we continue looking here, we have the subheadline: automated monitoring and reports to improve your website's accessibility, performance, UX design, and SEO. So I think that's quite clear, like what this is. It is monitoring and reports. Very cool. And the benefits are to improve these things. And then it doesn't state clearly anywhere in the headline or the subheadline who this is for. And so usually the way to figure that out is then to look at the social proof, which is thankfully included. But here it says trusted by 74 plus A11Y experts. And I think there are some things that are interesting here. So there may be a time where you want to get a little less specific. So 74 plus, it might sound a little strange. Is it like, does that mean 75? Like, I'm not quite sure. So whether you want to say like dozens or like anything like that might be just a little bit confusing. I think something I've seen Charlie tweet about this as well is that it's the irony of using a term like A11Y is not very accessible. And that was my first thought when I saw his URL for the first time, A11yboost.com. I had never heard about A11Y specifically. Like, of course, I've thought about accessibility and stuff, but I've never heard this term before. And so that can be hard. And when it says it's trusted by A11Y experts, number one, I don't know what A11Y means. Two, even if I have, I'm probably not an expert. I thought the point of using this was to not have to be an expert and still get it. So I think Charlie is probably trying to communicate here, use this product and become an expert. But when you say it's used by an expert, then I think immediately, oh, this isn't for me because I'm not an expert. So this is a type of report that's for experts and I'm not one. So why would I do this? This is for experts. So I think it would benefit him greatly to say trusted by dozens of founders or solopreneurs. I'm not sure what the exact focus is. And of course you can say users, but again, the more specific, the better. But definitely not A11Y experts, because I'm pretty sure that's not what he means, that this is who it's for. It's what he wants people to become. And so that's confusing for me and would make me not use this product, because I feel like it would be like, I want to learn guitar and it says trusted, and I want to download a book or something. It says used by hundreds of world-class guitar experts. And I'm like, I'm not one, so why would I? but rather you're trying to communicate through this thing, I will become a world-class guitar expert.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm also like as for like terminology and like A11Y, I also aim to not use any kind of terms. And in our company, we use some internal terms, and sometimes people put them on the landing pages or proposals. We always like remove them and trying to simplify it to make it understandable for anyone. And as you said, when I see like this and as decision to put like this term, I would definitely expect that it's for experts because so I supposed to know this like letters.
Absolutely. And like if it was a tool for experts, then it's more fair to do whatever you want if you can talk your customer's language. Like if you want to say like talk about an MVP to founders in your landing page, I think that's fair because that's who you want to. It's a way to show that like that's how you would talk to somebody if you're talking to the right person. But this really is like again talking to somebody who's never heard about accessibility as a area, and then they say, yeah, I help A11Y experts, and then you're like, well, yeah, definitely not for me. I have no idea. So yeah, kind of first thoughts there for sure.
Yeah, what
comes to mind for you?
Yeah, what I like here is this input, like enter your website, get your report. So it's kind of a piece of interface already. So you can see it as a first screen of application here.
Absolutely. And I think that's definitely something that also when you're talking more like when you know what a product is, then you can kind of get down to the more interesting parts of conversion optimization. And so Charlie here realizing that, I could get them to create an account and then do this, but like, or I just give them the value up front. And it has two main benefits. Number one, less steps for the user, which will definitely increase conversions, but then also it makes it more descriptive what it is. If I have to go into to create an account or try it now or whatever, then it's like, well, what exactly will happen later? But now when you're like enter your website, get report, it helps me understand the product better. So it's better in every way if you can be that specific. So could be interesting for Clipwing in a sense of like input your YouTube URL and get your first clips. Like
definitely
not a bad idea. But of course it depends. But like if once somebody understands the product, then we can take that to the next level there. So I would always focus on the fundamentals first, but this is definitely really good as well. That is taking that step.
Yeah, but on that, I think it's good enough. Probably like the report example, if we could put like in the visual this even abstracted report example, when I see like one or two metrics that I'll get, it also will be cool.
Absolutely, it's missing a visual. Absolutely, and yeah, to kind of explain like URL pointing arrow to the report, and then you could have again the SEO, the performance, 70% UX, Yeah, then you get the point. So it's a great idea for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Elias, for coming and doing this roast. And I want to say that Elias has like hundreds, I think, like videos like that on his Twitter page. So definitely check it out for more like reviews and a lot of cool learnings. So like these laws that we learned today that people expect to see, like things they see elsewhere. People expect to understand, think quickly, and stuff like that. So yeah, Elias, definitely you have a lot of knowledge here. And just wrap it up. Tell us like what's you're up for right now, like what you're working on, how people can support you, and what's your current project basically.
Thanks so much, Igor. And yeah, do want to say just the same. It's been so fun to connect with you and chat every time. So I really appreciate it that you invited me on your fantastic show. But yeah, to wrap it up for myself, right now, other than my daytime startup job, I'm doing some contracting for founders to help them to build better landing pages and also help them with sales and marketing. So if there's anyone that would want my help, DM's open, just send me a message and we can chat. But I think that's about it, honestly.
Nice. Yeah, and Tele is definitely, as we saw, great in conversion optimization. So definitely can recommend. There are a lot of people who trying to do roasts in Twitter who doing that, but there are very few like creative, innovative ones like Elias. So I really like these breakdowns with the videos, with specific examples, specific like rules to follow. So yeah, Elias, you do an amazing job, and also this automatic roasting that you did before. I don't know if it's planned for future, but it's really like interesting. And I also use I uploaded clipping there, and it got me some decent advices there. Especially now I kind of know like how to build landing pages, but imagine like back to the time when I didn't know anything about it. It will be very like great guide like to start building something meaningful. So really great idea, I think.
Thank you so much, Igor. Really appreciate it. And once again, so much fun. I think the general idea of, let's take a call, record it, and just like speak almost like we would usually, and just like learn from each other. It's a really wonderful way to record a show. So much fun to be here.
Do it in public. You have nothing to hide. Start using the internet. Join the ride.